Mr. Bachman?
Here.
Henning? Gorman?
Here.
Merkel?
Here.
Kelly?
Here.
Lieberman?
Here.
And Stevens.
Here. I'll move to excuse Councilman Henning from the workshop.
Second.
Motion to excuse Mr. Henning from the workshop and also the meeting by Mr. Bachman, seconded by Mr. Merkel. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Okay, so we're here to have a workshop discussion on council compensation. So you want to take over?
Well, I can. If you will look at the back of the city manager's report, we included a city council salary survey that was completed by the city of Kettering. And it broke the salary out between the mayor and the council, and then it also took into consideration population, then per capita, what each resident technically pays for their council person on council. It also lists out the other benefits that council members receive in those different communities. And I mean, I think, you know, if you look at where Clayton is sitting compared to our population size, I mean, the salary, I think, is pretty in line with the others. However, you know, city council does have the discretion to set up a charter commission, a salary commission, if you'd like to have a group of residents look at that to decide what they want to do, if they would recommend a salary increase for council. I think, Martina, that's the most common way that municipalities move forward with that.
Yeah, Amanda had asked me to look into that, and I sent an email to council earlier this afternoon. So that appears to be one of the most preferred ways that I've seen, rather than having council actually vote on it, which is what the charter says. It gives you the authority to do that. But it appears a significant amount of cities in Ohio have charter provisions written into their charter establishing a salary commission, and they meet every so often. Whatever the charter says, however many years it says, they meet, they review the salary of the mayor and the council, and then they make recommendations to council. So, and of course, you know, one of the primary reasons, the benefit of that is it sort of takes council out of the equation, and you're getting the citizens' input through this commission. Our charter does not provide for that commission, but our charter does allow council to establish boards and commissions, so that could be one route if you wanted to do that. Then by ordinance or resolution, according to the charter, either one, we can establish a commission to study that, report back to you, and go from there. The Charter Review Commission, as you know, is also meeting. We could also, if you didn't want to go that route, make recommended language revisions to the charter and include a specific charter amendment that would then come to council to be put on the ballot for the citizens to vote on as to whether or not they want to form a charter commission. Council appointing one is probably the most expedient way to go about that, rather than having to go through the ballot and all that process. But yeah, that does seem to be the process that many cities in Ohio choose to do
Can
this.
we not ask the Charter Commission Review Commission, or Charter Review Commission to do it?
I wouldn't do that because it's not specifically in the charter, so it's really outside their purview. What their purview is to look at the charter as it is now and to make recommended amendments to the way the charter reads now. If we wanted to put something before the Charter Review Commission and get their thoughts on it, then they could decide whether or not they wanted to recommend those amendments to you.
So I think you said, I want to make sure I heard what you said. So we can ask the Charter Review Commission to add language into the charter.
Right.
So that there is a process for this going forward.
Right. As I understood Mr. Gorman's question, I was taking his question as the Charter Review Commissions, can they sort of act as a salary commission, which I would not do.
So, well, I've been to some of the other city meetings that are the same size as us in our surrounding area here, and none of them have meetings like the city of Clayton does. I mean, a lot of them, the clerk calls on Commissioner Mike, I move for approval, I second it, and you vote on it, and that's all the discussion there is. And any number of them, we were told that if you are not a citizen of this city, you may not speak to us. And that didn't make a lot of people real, I was a young man at that point in time, so that's been a few years ago, but from watching on television once in a while, they still do it the same way.
I raised this a while ago, not necessarily for immediate action in raising the salaries, but for the future, because my guess is that the longer, Clayton exists, like 10 years from now, the 4,800, is it 4,800 that we make, is going to be a lot less because of COLA and everything else. So I thought it would be a good idea if we put into existence a commission, like what Martina's talking about. And I would recommend that we do it by council as opposed to a vote of the citizens to establish a commission. And the commission then would have the ability to recommend, but not mandate increases or decreases or whatever. And so ultimately, it'd still be up to us whether we want to accept the recommendation. But I would suggest that we develop a commission in the most expedient way, and then have them meet every 2 or 4 years or whatever it is, and make recommendations.
Martina, isn't there something in the charter that, or in the state laws that to give us a raise, it must be an election year and it must be voted on by the public?
Yeah, and I was actually looking at that, and I'm going to do a little more research on that, because there is a Ohio Revised Code section. I also believe I've seen some court opinions which basically say you're not supposed to have a midterm increase. So basically, it's going to have to start at the beginning of your new term. So, and which is contrary to what our charter says. Our charter says that, and this is something else I think I want to have the Charter Review Commission look at once we, and discuss with them once I do a little more legal research on the issue, but it does say, the salary so established shall be effective for a 2-year period beginning January 1 of the year immediately following the adoption of the ordinance establishing them, and shall apply to all elected officials whether they are beginning their terms or are in midterm. I think we need to get rid of that "or are in midterm." I think it's better for many reasons to have that start at the beginning of the new term of the council person, rather than having that midterm. So I'll get some more information, get it to Amanda, so that we can then bring that before the
We can't
Charter
do that
Review
with
Commission.
everybody because everybody starts at a different time, Martina.
Right, so it would just have to be, whenever your individual term starts.
Well, I think we should try and do it next year because 3 of us are running next year and 4 of them are not. And if that's a majority vote, right? You have to think ahead, Martina, I'd just like to ask Dennis, I think he knows the answer to this. What is the minimum for a year of PERS?
I think it's like $7,000 or $8,000. Yeah, we're not even close.
I thought it was less than that. That's,
Yeah, I thought it was too, and I had called to see on PERS, and I think we talked about this at one point.
because originally we were getting a year for year.
Yeah, we
I
were.
mean, back when, but,
Yeah, what is it? So how much is that for a year?
687.
So Fairborn ties theirs to standard for a full year credit, and they're at 79.20.
It's like $7,200 a year for.
Yeah,
For mayor, so.
yeah, so like Fairborn does that. They're at 7,900.
Yeah, and then 10,000 for the mayor.
So they tie it to PERS credit. And they get that raise to keep up with PERS, I guess.
So that wouldn't go retroactive.
So.
No, it wouldn't go retroactive.
Darn.
So I think we understand Dennis would be for maybe talking about this or raising it up. Are you thinking of any particular amount? Or what I'd like to do is go through everybody here so we can kind of get everyone's ideas on this.
Actually, my suggestion doesn't track to an amount at all. What it does is it develops a process so that you develop basically a citizens commission to make a recommendation for commission for our council salaries and mayor's salary, and then we act upon it. Now, the question that we'd have to answer, and Martina, I'd like some guidance from you on this. If, for example, the commission only meets every 4 years, and we can't start new salaries until your term begins, then that means some people aren't going to get the benefit of that salary.
Right, and maybe what we could do is draft it such that they're originally formed, and then we phrase it such that the next time they are called into session, so to speak, is at the call of council. That might be one way to leave that open, but we can certainly look at that and make sure that, we've got that base covered.
And I don't know the process, and you were telling me, but I got a little confused, whether we can, at council meeting, simply move to develop that commission, or whether we should send it to the Charter Review Committee to do. What is it that you're suggesting we do?
I think probably the most expedient way would be to do it under Charter 7.04, which says, "Council may by ordinance or resolution establish, et cetera, other boards and commissions." So the charter allows you to establish other boards and commissions that are not already established in the charter. So what I would suggest, the most expedient way would be to I could draft up legislation establishing the commission. You'd have to decide how many members you want to have. 5 to 7 members appears to be the standard from what I've seen. And then we can put in there things like when they're supposed to adjourn, what they're supposed to consider, when you want to report back from them, when they're disbanded until they're called back, things like that we can put in the legislation.
I think we should put it somewhere in the charter, the rules that we establish tonight or whenever we're going to establish them, because the charter, the council won't have to go through this every 22 years then.
We can put it, we can, are you talking about establishing the salary commission?
No,
via
the
charter?
rules of that every 4 years or whatever, a salary commission is appointed, and then they either vote on it themselves or the public votes on it, but it is in the charter that it is established every 4 years instead of, as I said, every 22 years like we're doing now.
To put it,
Because
yeah.
I don't ever remember discussing it before this point in time.
Yeah, and we could recommend that to the Charter Review Commission, and then it would come before you, and then you would approve it to go on the ballot, and then it's up to the citizens if they want to have it in the charter or not.
So the Charter Review Board goes with the language. They
Right.
change the language of it.
Yeah, if you wanted to put something in the charter itself, then I would suggest you go to the Charter Review Commission, and then they're going to make a recommendation to you, and then if you say yes, it's going to go on the ballot. However, the second path would be the other provision in the charter, which gives you the authority to enact legislation to appoint boards and commissions or establish boards and commissions.
And since we're not asking for a raise or anything, we're just asking to develop a commission, I'd recommend we do the second as opposed to putting the commission on the ballot.
Well, I mean,
So we do it the second way then.
but shouldn't that be in the charter, though? In the second option, would it be included in the charter?
No, and if you adopt legislation at one of your meetings establishing the Salary Review Commission, that's not going to be in the charter. The only way something's going to get in the charter is if the Charter Review Commission recommends it to you, and you forward it on to the BOE to put it on the ballot for the citizens to vote
I mean,
on.
is it important that it's in the charter?
If we have an ordinance that develops the commission, then, if in the future, 22 years from now, they want to change the ordinance, they can just eliminate it, but it would continue as an ordinance until it's eliminated. So I don't, the only difference between putting it as an ordinance and doing it as a charter change is going to the people with it. And to develop a commission, I don't think you need to go to people for a vote on that.
Tina, what do you think? Anything to add? Greg?
Keep it simple. You know, if you put it in the charter, then basically you're locked in until you change it. That'd be my concern, was that if there's something that you don't like later on, find the language was bad, you're stuck.
Tim?
Like I said, it's been 22 years since the topic's come up, and I don't think it should come up that frequently. I think it should come up every 4 years instead. Or take your pick on how many years you want to make it, but not 22.
Brendan?
I'd agree that second option of giving us, of us creating the committee.
Okay. Amanda? Any of your thoughts from there?
I would agree. I think just having council pass legislation to create the commission is probably the better way to go. And we can have that in the next couple meetings, and you guys can figure out how many people you want to have on the commission, and we can go from there.
As to how many people you might like to appoint.
I think what you recommended, 5 to 7.
I think 5 is probably a good number. Once you get too far past 5, yeah.
We have problem getting 3, so yeah, I'd say 5.
Okay, so that's what we'll do. We'll go down that path. Martina, if you need, I guess, go ahead and do what you need to do to get, from your perch
Sure.
and get that going. So.
Yeah, I'll get something drafted up, get it to Amanda, and then once she's reviewed it, I'll send it out all to you so you guys can review it, and then we'll just proceed from there.
And if you could answer Tim's question, because I know it used to be that way, where if you decided the people to vote on it. I don't, but.
Yeah.
I'm just going, I remember Huber doing it a few years ago, and they vote, and I recall seeing that the council themselves voted on it, so, yeah, and that just kind of, from my memory, I don't remember, looking at it, with a fine tooth comb and following it, but I do recall that I believe that's what was happening.
Am I reading this right?
I think Trotwood just did theirs recently too, didn't they? Yeah. Okay, is there anything else on this topic? Yeah, so I think we're kind of limited to that topic, right?
Yeah, we're limited to that topic, and then, were we advertised to start at 7:30? So we have to wait till 7:30 to start? At the conclusion?
So
I
as
was going to say,
wonderful-
we discussed Kevin's problem, yeah, I guess that's right, isn't it, Kevin?
So the only thing I'll say about starting the meeting directly after this one is we have the VIP winners coming in at 7:30.
7:30, we'll give them their award.
Okay, if that's what council wants to do, that's absolutely fine with me. I just want to make sure everybody's aware that they're going to be in tonight, so. It moved to March 3rd. We moved that to the 3rd.
So do we have a motion to close, please?
I'll move to close the workshop.